Hello there. Today I want to show some hazelnuts and a tool for cracking them. These are American hazelnuts. They were an important food source back in the day because they're low growing, so easy to harvest, and they're easy to get out of the shells relative to things like walnuts. American hazelnuts are different from the European hazelnuts that we're familiar with in the stores. Superficially, they're obviously much smaller. Here are some American hazelnuts that I picked in my backyard, coupled with some European hazelnuts that I bought from the store. Besides the size, they also taste quite different from one another. The American hazelnuts are much less sweet and sort of taste like hickory nuts or walnuts without the tannins. And now to show the tool to get them out of the shell. This is a slightly crude wooden mortar and pestle. I made it by gouging a divot into a block of oak and then burning out the hole. This was meant to be a practice run for one of those big corn pounders. Not exactly stellar craftsmanship, but it'll do the job for what we're doing today. You can see some debris from nuts that I cracked over the holidays. There's also a wooden pestle with a fire-hardened tip. So let's get to work. You just pop one in at a time and then give it a couple sharp strikes and pulverize the thing into 1,000 bits. Of course, it wouldn't be so simple as to just put it in and hit it. You have to use some technique, as always. Here's a partial success. I cracked the shell while leaving the nut inside. It's going to take a little bit of prying to get the rest of the shell off, but at least I get the meat out in one piece. The size difference between the European and the American hazelnut is even more significant when you just compare the innards. The goal with the pounding is to hit it just right so that you crack the shell while leaving the meat intact, or at least in only one or two pieces. The most intuitive way to do this is by simply limiting the power of your strikes, but this is an unreliable process. A much better technique I've developed is to simply hold the pestle very loosely, such that when you strike, once the pestle meets any resistance, it will slide upwards into your hand, sparing the nut. This will enable you to hit it quite hard without fear of pulverizing it. Hold it very loosely, strike it quite sharply. This method and the tools are quite simple compared to a mechanical hinged nutcracker, but they work really well if you get your technique down. If you got your technique down and you get into a good rhythm of things, they're about the same speed as a good quality mechanical nutcracker. This wooden mortar and pestle actually works quite a bit better than a stone mortar and pestle. When I tried a stone mortar and pestle, it had an unfortunate tendency of throwing the nuts up the side of the bowl whenever you had a slightly glancing hit. The wooden mortar and pestle, being slightly softer than the shells and having an uneven surface, is much better at gripping them and preventing them from glancing off. The pestle also develops a dent at the end, which is again good for gripping. So there you have it, American hazelnuts and an old school way to get them out of the shell. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this interesting.